Hey everyone, I wanted to take a minute and respond to all of the really interesting discussions that you all had, and really enjoyed listening to your responses from your applied learning activities and the things that you went to, or the things you watched, or the people you interviewed. So I'll just take a minute just to ask some, I guess, further follow-up questions, and also give you my thoughts on what you all were talking about. So I think I'll start with Kadir, and actually, Kadir, I was so interested in this particular thing that you were showcasing that I went and watched this particular TED Talk on my own. And at one point, the narrator, or the speaker, I should say, he mentions this idea of gay culture in his talk, and I kind of hit me in a certain way, and I was like, is there such a thing as gay culture? And I didn't know for sure, and I wanted to ask you what you thought about that. Um, because I think that he's referencing kind of a white male gay culture. I think that's probably a mainstream idea, that there is a gay culture, and that culture is oftentimes filled with people like you see on Will and Grace, for example. Um, and I was wondering, like, do the intersections of identities like race and class and gender play into that? And my intention in asking that question is not to engage in what our text in our last reading called The Hierarchy of Oppression. I don't think it's useful for us to engage in a discussion that is kind of like an oppression Olympics. But I'm just kind of curious about what you think about that statement, because when he said that, I kind of stood for a minute and listened and kind of thought about it and hit pause, and just curious what you thought about that. So interesting stuff. And Natalie and Taylor, I figured I'd put you two together because you guys went to one of the same events, the SVA conference follow-up, and I really enjoyed learning about this thing you all went to. It's really interesting, stuff, and I think it's so cool. Like, there's so many men that went to this thing. I hate to say, like, it gives me hope that there's like some of these mindsets around gender privilege can be shifted and changed, because there's a lot of people out there that want to have that conversation. So it gave me a lot of hope. But anyway, I was wondering if Kristen, the lady that was speaking that night, or the two of you had any thoughts or opinions after being in the audience for this, about something that I heard about on NPR last week, I think, or a few days ago, and it's around the draft, the selective service. A lot of Army and Marine generals are starting to say that women should now join the selective service, and it may, I think, eventually happen. I wanted to know what you all thought about that, especially given your context with this particular event that y'all went to. And lastly, Dalton, I really enjoyed hearing about the person that you interviewed of the Lumbee tribe. And, I took this slide from your presentation because I thought when you got to this point, you referenced the text, and you said that racism against American Indians is so ingrained into the American consciousness that it becomes invisible. And when you said that, it reminded me of something my friend Dina Hayes Green likes to say. She says that when you make power invisible, racism thrives. And I think the quote in the book that you chose there really speaks to that idea. When you make the power behind the advantage normal, and whether that advantage is being male, whether that advantage is being white or cisgender or Christian in this country, when you make that normal, it becomes invisible, and thus I think it's where you get a lot of the injustice, inequity, and the lack of access and privilege that we see. And it's also, I think, why a lot of people in the more privileged groups a lot of them tend to deny that it even exists. They even say that it's not even a thing, that white privilege is sort of a fictional thing that someone concocted to create tension amongst the races. So anyway, I was curious about your thoughts about that, and enjoyed hearing all your perspectives this week. So I'll see you guys in the discussion boards.